at the process ahead of tomorrow. How is your institution involved? What's your own participation, and how you see the process as well? But let's begin on this note. Just last night, 12 midnight, in line with the operational plan and guidelines and timetable of the National Elections Commission, which closed down a campaign yesterday. But before then, during the last months, the country was politically charged. The candidates were taking their stance on various issues, major issues. They were articulating well their own manifestos as well. But that has passed now. First, let me ask from you, what did you make of all of what been happening over the past months?
So, again, thanks for the invitation. So let me lay out this caveat. I've not worked in government, so I don't know what it is to be a sycophant. I don't know what it is to be a praise singer, but that does not mean that everyone who works in government or who has worked in government is a sycophant or is a praise singer. What we do here, we try to be as objective and independent as possible, taking into account our humanity. So, but the work that we do is in the interest of the growth and development of this country.
Okay.
So when we speak on national issues as civil society actors, we do that in the interest of the country.
Okay. So the question now, what's your analysis about what has been happening over the past months?
Well, let's take it for the past 6 months, because elections is not about election day. It starts with the voter registration, it goes to candidate nomination, then we have exhibition, then we have campaign, and then we go to vote.
Okay.
What is important for citizens to understand the context in which these elections are being conducted.
Okay.
And I say that because it's important that what happens tomorrow, it will be informed by this larger context. That this is the first time we as a nation have transitioned from the use of the manual voter registration system to the biometric voter registration. That in itself goes with some challenges. Secondly, the cost to conduct these elections has been squarely on the shoulders of the government. Thirdly, all elections, logistics support, and technically huge, massive, international support came from our development partners. This time around, we're not going to see that. And the elections will be solely managed by the National Elections Commission with minimum international technical support.
Okay.
And then lastly, the provision of internal security will rest squarely on the shoulders of the National Joint Security Task Force. That includes the LMP, fire service, immigration, and so forth. So when we put these together, we say these elections are very critical.
Very critical.
Yes, because of these factors. All the other elections that were critical, but we had external support here and there, logistics, finance, security. But this is a Liberian-owned election. So it's good that we appreciate the context to be able to say if things don't work the way they should, it's about the context.
Now, so what does that mean? Because the old man, Musuri, Grand Kipmount, doesn't understand when you say that this election it's more critical than other elections. So what does that mean to how should Musu, who's deep in the Grand Kipmount, does she understand that?
Yeah, so Musu needs to know that you can move election materials from Monrovia to Rabosport. You can do that. But to move the materials from Rabosport to the other persons, given the rules conditions, may be a challenge, and that may cause a delay in the voting. So man also needs to know that election material may not, and I say may, because of the distances between the towns, the districts, and the NEC ministerial offices. So if things don't get to those places in time, it means Ma'am Wusu may not vote in time, and she may be impatient. She may begin to question the process, and that's why we're trying to lay the premise that we need to appreciate it, where we've come from, where we are now, and the prospects and challenges in the conduct of these elections.
You made a very salient point when you talk about the elections being the financing of the election being solely on the shoulders of the government. In time past, where we had some international support, but not it is now. Well, how do you explain that so that the people know the difference between what was happening then and what is likely to happen now?
Yes, so as far as I know, in previous elections, particularly the ones that came immediately after the war, some of the international development partners showed us some portion of the cost of the elections. Unlike now, they provide technical assistance. They do provide resources, but it's through technical assistance. This time around, the actual cost in terms of the procurement of the photo materials, whatever goes into these elections, are being covered by the government. So that creates additional challenge.
Now, so how is your institution, that's the election coordinating committee, how are you involved in this process?
Well, our mandate is to observe the entire electoral cycle. And as we are the largest national domestic observation group, and we...
Is it the largest?
Yes.
Meaning international?
National, both national and international. We deploy the highest number of... We will deploy the highest number of election observers. And so that makes us the largest national domestic election observation group. And with funding from the USAID, we've been able to roll out our plans. But our mandate is twofold. One is to observe the entire electoral cycle, document our findings, and provide an independent assessment on the credibility of the process and the outcome. Our second mandate is to then use our collective findings after the entire electoral process to advance recommendations for electoral reforms. So that is what we're called to do.
Okay. Now, so your first mandate for us is to do observation. Now, you said you are the largest so far in national and international. We'll be deploying observers across the entire. How many observers do you have on your record to deploy?
So in total, we have 1,005.
1,005?
Yes.
For the entire country?
Yes.
How are you going to do that?
Well, we
got 15 political subdivisions of the country.
Yeah, we have
1,005.
Yeah, we have 5,890
credence or gave that sort of to what you do when you are far below the number of centers that you should be gathering your records from.
So when you cook the food and the food the soup is boiling and you want to taste the soup, do you taste the whole soup from the pot? What do you do? If you want to taste the soup to see whether salt is enough, what do you do? I'm asking you.
No, you answer your question.
I mean, if you know how to cook.
No, I don't cook. I don't cook. I don't cook.
So if you want to taste the quantity of salt in the soup, you don't drink the whole soup from the pot. You take a small, a small portion of the soup. You know, from
that analogy is far from what we talked about.
That's what we're saying. We based on our 1005, we can have an appreciation, and that's why when we speak after elections, we say we are speaking based on our observation of the 1,500 polling places.
Okay. Now, the 1,500 polling places that you position the people, where in Monrovia or outside of Monrovia?
Since we
started, in Montserrat or outside of Montserrat?
Since we've started our observation, we have deployed 73 long-term observers, meaning in each electoral district, we have observers that have been there for the past 9 months. That's in addition to the 1,005. We also have county coordinators.
Okay.
So our deployment of the 1,005 is across the 73 electoral districts that make up the 15 counties.
How did you deploy them?
We went through a process of vetting. So our district supervisors were given forms to assess the independence of these, because these are citizen observation groups, and so they are volunteers. So it's part of their civic duty to serve their country during this critical.
When you were doing the vetting of those observers, you make a reference to who are part of your 1,005. What were you looking for in them?
So first and foremost, we because we're non-partisan, so we are not supposed to recruit anyone that come close visibly to active participation in any political party activities. So that's the first thing that we look for. Secondly, you must also be at least a high school graduate, because when we do our election observation, there are processes we follow. There are forms that you need to fill, and then you need to text those findings based on the forms. So you have to have some level of literacy, and then you have to live in that community, and you have to be a registered voter at that polling place where you will be assigned.
Okay, you have to be a registered voter.
You have to be a registered voter. You have to see the card, and we don't move you from your location to another place as the politicians do during the voter registration. They move voters from one place to the next to go and register. You will observe in the place where you register.
Now, so you got them and you recruited them from where they live. You said that they shouldn't have any participation within a political party. They shouldn't. But now, how do you determine that? How do you determine that? Look, this observer that I have recruited doesn't have any link with any political party.
So I'll give you a clear example. 2 weeks ago, one of our district supervisors in Zozo, who has been working with us, and these people are citizens of Liberia. We cannot control their right to affiliate with any political party. So we realized that he was wearing the cap of a political party. I immediately dropped him from our list. So when we see you visibly in the emblems of a political party, on your Facebook. We've also dropped a couple of other, supervisors because of their Facebook postings. That gave us a clear indication that you are compromised, and therefore we ask you to leave.
What is the arrangement between your election coordinating committee and that of your donor?
We've worked, over the past years with.
What are your agreement reached with them?
Well, USAID is funding us to a large extent. We also get funding from the Irish Aid, but they don't tell us what to do. We're an independent national observation group, so our statements are free of interference from our partners.
So they don't influence you
Not,
but they are your donor now. They give you the cash to operate.
but I mean, it's not because they gave us resources, so they should tell us what to say. We base our observation based on facts, and that's why we have a data center that receives all of our information from our observers across the country. We will make an independent assessment. We will speak to what we see without fear or favor.
Now, when you recruited the 1,500 observers to go and observe the process tomorrow, what is it? What is the mandate that you give them, or what is the function, or what is the functionality? What work would they be doing? What would they be looking for? What their eyes will be looking for, watching out for?
So there's a difference between election observers and election monitors. So these two categories of observers do similar things, but the difference there is that election observers do not interfere with the operations of the NEC on election day. On the other hand, election monitors, when they observe that the NEC workers are not in compliance with what the rules and regulations say, they can interfere and say, sir, madam, we observe that you're not following the proceedings as laid down by the law. So they can help to make corrections. For us, our mandate to our observer is very clear. Observe, take note, report to us. You have no right to try to correct the poor workers on election day, because then that will be in contravention of our core mandate as an independent election observation body.
Okay, so that's the mandate you've given to them.
Correct, and we've trained them. We've trained them in the use of what we call checklist. So on that
checklist,
yes. So they don't like doing any random, collection of data. That checklist lays out 5 different sections on election day, and the first one is the arrival and setup of the voting precinct. So we got questions on that. The second thing is the opening of the polls. So we ask you a series of questions to tell us how, the process leading to the opening of the polls. And the third section on the checklist is the voting. How is the voting proceeding? Fifth one is the closing. And then the sixth one, the most important one, is the counting and collation. So they are supposed to report on all of these different sections within the checklist. And then based on that report, we do our collation, we analyze the data, and then we make an informed decision on the quality of the elections.
Okay.
So this is in a way very scientific. So we're not randomly looking for things. We have a system, we have a database in the system that receives this 1,500 reports, and then we do our own internal analysis, collation, and then release findings.
How long were they trained for?
Each training was done in a district, so each training lasted for a day. But we did the training of trainers who went to do the training, and that training lasted for 4 days, and then they went on the counties and did one day training each.
Okay.
So we're very confident, about those who were recruited and went to the training.
How are they paid?
As told you, some of these are voluntary work. So this is not work where you get paid, like full-time job. I mean, you come on the day of election, you run into the day after because some polling places may open late. The counting may end the next day because we need the results. So it's a volunteer. We get a stipend for the 2 days.
You're stopping with how much?
Well, that's internal matter.
You don't want to disclose it. You listen to the Super Money Show right here on the OBC 99.9 and other frequencies across Liberia. Our special guest is the head of the election coordinating committee. Tomorrow Liberians will decide as to who becomes that leader for the next 6 years, and so Liberians will be going to the poll tomorrow. Like I said to you, the Liberia Broadcasting System will bring the election to you, to your doorsteps. In fact, we'll do that both on radio, television, and online. We're going to make sure that we bring you the process play by play. If after you've done your election, you've done your voting, rather, just go home and watch your LNTV. We're going to have our cameramen out there making sure to capture every necessary scenes as Liberians go to the poll tomorrow. Now, yesterday, you held a major press conference. First, your concern was the sustainability of the peace that we now enjoy. That was your first major accentuation during your press conference. Why was that so necessary to you?
Because we've said we've enjoyed 20 years of peace since the end of the Civil War in 2003. In light of that, we've conducted 3 general elections: 2005, 2011, 2017. This will be our 4th post-war election. So we've made some democratic gains. We cannot allow these elections to derail those gains that have been made. And so we call on all voters that you have a right to vote for your choice. At the same time, you have an obligation and you have the responsibility to conduct yourselves peacefully on election day, after election day, up to the announcement of results, so that whoever wins. The votes must reflect the will of the people, so that we can have peace as a nation, and we continue with our development process. So that's what we call on all Liberians to turn out tomorrow peacefully to cast their ballots.
So would your observers also be watching out for any semblance of that, maybe violence or whatever?
Correct. Yes, because the checklist contains all different questions around that. So if the voting precincts are being disrupted by citizens, then it would disrupt the process. It would, because once violence is at a polling precinct, normally the women and the elderly will leave. And we don't want a few people to vote to legitimize a government. So that's why we're saying turn out, but conduct yourselves peacefully, because we don't want disruptions in the process.
And during that press conference, you also asked the political parties and the security apparatus to conduct what you said what you call program aimed at aimed at preventing any sort of violence or whatever it is. Now, in your estimation, in your own analysis, what do you call the program that the political parties and the security apparatus should conduct?
Well, the political parties are under obligation, and they have political vested interest in these elections. They spend their money, they spend their time crisscrossing across the country. So one of the things we call on them to do, and we hope that they have recruited, they have trained their party agents to go and observe the elections, rather than making sweeping, unsubstantiated claims of rigging. They are under obligation to deploy the parties should have the capacity to deploy 5,890 human beings at every polling place, so that when they make a claim tomorrow, that claim must be backed by evidence.
By evidence, okay.
Correct. So, because unsubstantiated claims can incite your supporters unnecessarily, and that could disrupt the peace. So when we say the program, that is the program we talk about on election day and the day after, because what triggers electoral violence across most countries in West Africa is the contention around the transparency of the counting and tabulation of election results. So to minimize that risk for electoral violence, we are there, but you should be there also, so that you can have, look, the way our votes are counted. I can tell you that system that was put in place in 2005 with the support of the international community is one of the most transparent electoral voting tabulation processes I've seen in most of my election observation work across Africa. The counting starts at the polling places. Those results are pasted on the walls of the polling places. And then it is elevated. Those results then go to what they call the tallying process. And that is done at the magisterial offices across the country. After the tallying, then that result is sent to the NEC database. It is from that database that the NEC pronounces the result. So when you miss out at the polling places, you are out. I mean, basically, because you have nothing to show what has been generated in terms of the results from the polling places. So that's why those results are pasted on the wall, but they also, the record of the count, one of them is given to the first winner and the second winner. So you both have it. So from the 5,880 polling places after election day, you should know as a political party whether you have won or not.
And you only get to know when you have your agent there.
Correct. You will only know. This is not about dreaming. This is not about making assumptions. This is not about crowd pooling. This is not about we show our strength on doing the campaign. It's about you placing these people at the 5,800 polling places, because that's the only way you'll be able to certify what NEC has announced.
Now, will your observers also be looking at that, taking records of political party agents that are at the polling center?
Correct. So if you look at our checklist, you will see to observe the presence of the following political party agents. So the parties are listed. And in our statement, we will say it, that of the 1,500 polling places ECC observed, 80% was covered by agents from party X, B, C, and D. So we'll show you. So if you are not there, don't make claims of any electoral fraud, because to prove fraud, you must bring evidence. You must be specific at what polling place the fraud took place. And the Supreme Court has been very clear on that in the 2017 opinion on the case Liberty Party versus NEC. The court was very clear that the allegation of fraud and irregularity must be widespread. It can't just be one or two polling places and then you say the entire we should rerun. So the court has been clear. The court has set benchmarks on what to look for when you bring in complaints before the court.
And what constitutes electoral fraud, sir?
Electoral fraud, as far as I know, is the intent to alter the election results against Oscar Blow in favor of Sova George.
Okay.
That's fraud. You are altering the legitimate vote that a party got or a candidate got against that candidate or that party in favor of another party.
So in your press conference, you were very keen on calling on political parties to ensure that they do have their party agents at those over 5,000 polling centers.
Yes, and that for us will help to mitigate any form of post-electoral violence, because the stakes are high. We've seen huge crowds. And sometimes, somebody I know, they don't always translate into votes. So to be able to show the votes, you have to be at the polling places. And not just at the polling places, then you send your observer at the tallying center. That's where the collation is done. And then the votes there are now collated into a precinct, who won at the precinct, who won at the other precinct. So help us to consider this piece.
Okay.
It's not just enough to put supporters in the street. Help to consider this piece by deploying your party agents and then also training them what to look for. Because I've seen in previous elections, the party agents go to the polls with copy book, small copy book. I don't know what they're writing. Because you have to train them to look for specific things, so it can help your situation room. They call it war room. I don't know who's fighting war, but we call it situation room, because that's where you do your analysis. But they have to help to keep this peace, and to do that, they must deploy their party agents.
We'll open the lines very shortly so now people can also get into our stream. But before then, you're also concerned about what comes out of the media, the Liberian media. You indicated in your words that it'll be counterproductive if media institutions will start reporting inflammatory comments and all of that. What's your interpretation of that?
Well, we've in the 2020 special senatorial elections, there were a couple of radio stations that were announcing results completely different from what was being announced by the NEC. That had the potential, that was inflammatory, misleading, and with the potential to incite violence. This country is...
Are you insinuating that those institutions were fabricating their own results? Those media institutions?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're saying. That action was inflammatory because it could inflame, a very volatile situation. So responsible media should cross-check with the journalists. I know you will be having journalists in the field.
Surely.
Let them drop their support for any political party and conduct themselves in the next 48 hours in a very professional manner. Because radio is widely listened to in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Any attempt to begin to promulgate fake results to put this country in trouble, they will be held to account. They will be held to account because the media is a double-edged sword. It can either bring peace or it can bring conflict.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want these elections to further divide this country. We've seen the campaign, how it has been divisive. We've seen the campaign, it has further divide a very polarized society. We don't want that to be reinforced or exacerbated by fake media reports on the results. Your people you'll be sending in the field, you have to really caution them to put down their partisanship and conduct themselves in a very professional manner and be conflict sensitive, because what you report will be largely followed by many Liberians.
Now, this is the phenomenon that often happen during elections. How do we, Mr. Blow, you've been in this whole elections observation, activities. Sometimes you hear people do, some people, get celebratory, to get so celebratory, in other words, to get, so high, the expectation so high, and they begin, early celebration without waiting for official announcement of the results by the National Elections Commission. How do we manage these sort of expectations? What do you say to our people?
Well, I would say firstly to the politicians, to the political parties, Today, we will be urging them to calm down the rhetoric of the first time winning outright during these elections. You have no evidence, no political party has any evidence that it will win outright in the first round. If it happens, yes.
It's possible, right?
It's possible. But let us limit this kind of rhetoric because it has the potential to raise unnecessary expectations. And if you don't win in the first round as you claim, then your supporters may think that there was a foul play. And when that perception gets in the public domain, it can be difficult on how to control it. How that perception will translate into actions we don't know. And so we're calling on the political parties, the political leaders, to call on the supporters tomorrow to go and vote, but limit this rhetoric about winning in outright first round. Nobody has the evidence. Only the NEC can determine that, and only your results that you will have from your observation at the polling places will tell you that. But that will come later, not today. Don't tell anyone you want to win first round because you have the evidence. And let's try to manage the volatile situation in the country, and to our voters, please. I know things are hard. Don't be used. Don't be manipulated for small cash, for small inducements, because you do have a responsibility to protect the peace. So when you ask me, those will be my own frank and honest appeal to both the political actors and their supporters.
Finally, you've been covering elections. This is the fourth democratic elections since our civil war ended. What do you see, judging from what you saw before in the past? I make a reference to the anxiety by the populations. What do you see so far?
Well, I see a country where citizens want to vote, and I'm seeing look, the campaign so far, except for the unfortunate incident during the first week of the campaign in District Number 9, led to the injury of four persons, both supporters from the CDC and the UP, and then the unfortunate situation a few days ago in Foya. Look, violence has no place in the democratic process, not at all. No Liberian citizen should lose his life or property because of political processes. No blood should be spilled. Other than that, I've seen the campaign largely peaceful. And we must, congratulate the political parties for that, where they didn't crisscross in the same area. So that has helped. But we also saw there was no systematic attempt by any local government officials to deny any political party the use of public facilities. So our democracy is slowly growing, and I see it is growing because people now have the choice to say I support party X, irrespective of where I work. So it's a gradual process. We're getting there. We're beginning to manage this election to a large extent by Liberians, and so there's a growth. Let's try to maintain that. Let's try to sustain that, so that the peace that we now have can set the basis for our long-term development.
Based on the records you have, do you think how many observation missions do we have in the country?
It's a lot. So start with us. So ECC, National Observer. You have Leon. You have Liberian Council of Churches. You have several other civil society organizations. You had the Mana River Union. I just conducted a training for the observers yesterday. We have ECOWAS. We have ISA, the Electoral Institute of South Africa. We have the European Union. And I was in a discussion, and I don't have the facts, but I was in a discussion, and someone told me together there will be like 600 international observers from different groups. 600 for national observers. The person said it's about 6,000. So there are a lot of interest.
So why this huge interest then?
This because this in 2011 I didn't see the scale of this kind of citizens, anxiety and interest. I even did a training for the Kofi Annan Conflict Transformation Institute from the LU. They too are deploying. Are they training for them? We've done training for many other national institutions. So that I didn't see that in 2017. So there is growing interest by citizen observation groups to keep an eye on this election. And that's a good thing. So that it just not see as ECC speaking on this election, but that all Liberians will say we were there.
Okay.
We saw the results. Please don't bring trouble here of your claim of this and that, because we were there.
Okay.
We are witness to the outcome of these elections.
0776-540-987. That's an alternative line. After this program, don't call this line, please. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. Again, 0880-514-096. That's the numbers to call, and you are live on the Super Money Show this morning. This first caller. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, this is Maurice Boyman calling from Cornwall.
Let's hear from you, Maurice.
I want to tell Mr. Blue that he doesn't want to determine whether Clark can win or not. As he stated, he said only NEC, so he shouldn't say that. That's my point. Thank you.
Okay. Many thanks. I hope he can take notes quickly to respond. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Okay, so what this is calling you from local country for this number 2 this morning.
Let's hear from you, Mr. Bobo.
And so what, let me just appreciate the studio guests. When people look at the population, they overlook it. But our concern is Liberia first. They all look for we all what the players in the past. We believe that tomorrow we'll make our decision. But we just need Liberia to be peaceful so that we can contribute to the election tomorrow. Let me say, bow to them, and we believe that one time God will give us the president. Thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks. Let's take this caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sabbath. How you doing?
I'm okay, sir.
I just want to say thank you to your studio guests for the deliberation. I have worked with this institution before in 2011 election. That decision is very credible. But it's a cardinal point that needs to be looked at critically. The issue of the different institutions when it comes to media institutions, beginning tomorrow, they need to be careful in terms of announcing the results that are not they are not clear to announce. Let everybody follow the announcement from the election electoral body that is credible with the authority. Thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks. Let's take this caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Governor.
Yes, good morning, sir.
How are you this morning?
I'm okay.
This is Mr. Benedict calling from Kensington.
Let's hear from you, Mr. Ray.
Okay. Good morning to your studio guests. I want to chip in by telling him thank you this morning for his observation. And I also want to add to him that as of tomorrow, we will all go to the pool. As soon as we do our little, casting of the ballot, we should finally leave and go to our places of residence, not to be around and be shouting slogans and also taking photos. So thank you this morning for giving me the opportunity, and so that our country will be peaceful. Thank you.
Many thanks as well. Many thanks. This caller, good morning. Good morning.
So how you doing?
I'm okay, sir.
Stevenson, Zulu Whiskey.
Let's hear from you.
How forceful will the mandate of NEC be when it comes to not the line phone at the precinct center? What are those mechanisms that is putting in place to ensure that network will not allow funds into the center? Thank you.
Yeah, rest assured the National Elections Commission will have Mr. Samuel Cole here. That is at 9 o'clock, I'm sure, on 11 minutes. Mr. Cole is the Deputy Executive Director for Administration. He's also the Chairman for the Strategic Communications Committee for 2023 elections at the National Elections Commission. So Mr. Cole will be talking about whether the NECA now has already dotted all the I's and crossed the T's for tomorrow. He'll be right here. That's at 9 o'clock. Don't worry. Keep all your questions for elections. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Sobot, and good morning to the bunch of Money Liberia.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ibrahim Buditi from Montesetu, and I call from the most talked about Bible after this morning. Thank you for inviting Mr. Osabro. I think he spoke very lengthily. Our peace should be elegant concern. This is our country. There's nowhere like home. And I'm appealing to those generals who will be calling the story, who will be reporting the bureau result. And be very careful and give you a listed result and bring every result right out. Because it's the National Election Commission who have the constitutional right to declare the winner. So we should not jump the gun. So I want to tell the people, thank you for visual campaigning. Campaign is over. Let is it for somebody say voted person. No, we're not in campaign period because EFBC is one of the biggest platforms in our country, and welcome to our observer in the country to observe our election. We did it before. We know the credibility of the National Election Commission. They conducted election prior to the election will be conducted tomorrow. So think about the opportunity to get a positive mindset. We can be a better place.
Many thanks. Let's take this caller. Good morning. We're still going with the other lines. Good morning.
Good morning, my son. How are you doing?
I'm okay, sir.
My name is Oscar Bosna, and I talk to you from Banyan District, Sando County to be specific.
Sando County, that's my own home county. Let's hear from you from there.
And so God bless you. We want to say thank you to our study guests this morning. But let's go back to before the previous call, the question that may ask. Message are on our phones for NEC. What will become of the officers that are conducting the activities in the very polling places in Liberia? Let our guests educate us on that mainly.
Yes, they will educate you on that. That is at 9 o'clock when NEC comes in. We'll have the National Elections Commission to come in. That is at 9 o'clock this morning. Let's go to the other lines quickly. 0880514-096. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, it seems this caller is not ready. Let me take this other call on this other line. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, good morning, sir.
And good morning to your studio guests. Okay, I'm David Douglas Fumi from Maria resident. So let me appreciate this morning and let me take this time to appreciate every Liberian that campaigned through the process. I want to say congratulations to everybody. It was peaceful, although there were some issues. But we want to say Liberian people, we say thank you for campaigning. And those that died, we want to say may their soul rest in peace. Watching all of the Liberians to go to the polls to vote and be peaceful and wait for NEC to announce the result. Nobody should take their own result and run with it. We do not know NEC to be cool with the authority to announce the winner. Thank you very much for having me.
Many thanks. Let me go to the other this line now. What are the callers there? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes.
Good morning. Let's hear from you.
Hello.
Yes, let's hear from you.
Yes. I have a question for our speaker. What is the thing that was we mostly monitor radios and television. So, but I was thinking about the database director at the Election Commission having meeting about manipulating.
No, we not when the neck comes on, you can raise those questions. The person in studio is not from the National Elections Commission. We'll have the National Elections Commission that is at 9 o'clock this morning. The man that's in studio is just an observer. You'll be observing tomorrow. So his group will be observing tomorrow. They'll be observing these elections. So just to have him here now. But wait until 9 o'clock when the National Elections Commission comes. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. Quickly.
elections do not guarantee democracy, but they are needed to be able to allow citizens to choose their leaders, and that the responsibility is on all Liberians to vote from an informed perspective.
Okay.
Because you are about to give your life for another 6 years to another individual or political party. So vote your conscience, vote your future.
Many thanks, Mr. Oscar Blow. Mr. Blow is the head of the election coordinating committee. This institution, like I said, is the largest national observatory group in the country. They will be tomorrow also observing the polls tomorrow.